says here, Obama believes the disparity between sentencing crack and powder cocaine is wrong and should be completely eliminated.
Hallelujah.
I love that last statement because a lot of people, they underestimate the profound effect that the sentencing disparities and the mandatory minimums have had on specifically the black community. Like everyone perhaps know by now that there are more black men in prison than they are in jail, and that's a part of the
In college, you mean?
Oh yeah, in prison as they are in college. Thank you for correcting that. It sounded right to me. But one of the things people don't realize is that Bill Clinton, during his office, sent more people, more African Americans to jail, specifically more than any other president during their office. And I know it's kind of strange because a lot of people think, Bill Clinton's charismatic, he's like the first black president, but when you look at his record and how many people went to prison during his presidency, it makes you wonder, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Obama feels that we should use the drug courts more. Right. Specifically, instead of, if you have a first-time offender, drug dealer, who does not have a violent background, he feels that that person should be tried in a drug court, and then they should be sent for rehab to a rehab facility instead of putting them in jail and 3 strikes you're out. Give them a chance to be rehabilitated and learn what the effect is of that drug in the community.
In addition to that, he also wants to develop and sponsor programs for inmates who get out. It's like an inmate to work program, which is huge because, there are so many inmates out there, and if we're going to stand behind the whole rehabilitation thing, then we need to put some money behind it. And I think that really shows efforts that he's looking towards the future and incorporating everyone into society. So,
well, I kind of wanted to step back just a minute on something that was said. I don't know if any of you seen the movie Head of State with Chris Rock, and he was running for president, and what really made him the candidate that people liked is that he could relate to the average person. He's been there. He's been in the various situations, which typically the candidates that we get for president, they have no idea what it's like to live life as a normal person. They've usually been born with silver spoons in their mouths. They never really had to be on the back end of discrimination. They've never had to be and then the fact that he came from a biracial culture, that also kind of helps him in a sense. It's like he can relate in ways, and you can see in his policies and what he's talking about and what he's addressing that he can relate. He came from a single parent home. How many presidents have we heard, speak on such things? And if you've heard
such honesty that
right,
he has.
and it's sincere, and the people who've lived it, and the people who haven't lived it, you can hear it, and you can hear where he's coming from because he has a way with words.
But what about a Clinton supporter who says she's a woman and she has experienced discrimination as a woman and as a female in corporate America, and her experience?
What do you mean? What about her?
It adds. She can relate as well from the experience of being a woman in America.
Well, I think it's interesting that people say that it's time for a woman to be in the White House. She's always been in the White House from the very beginning. It will be nothing new. A woman has always been from the,
in a secondary.
Well, African Americans never been in the White House. Like you understand.
I see what you're saying, but
and
not in a position of power.
Right.
Well, yeah. When Bill Clinton was in power, Hillary had developed this whole health plan solely because of her relationship with her husband being the president. Of course, women have always been in the White House, and anyone who understands the value of a marriage should know that your spouse has a tremendous impact on the decisions you make and the decisions you choose not to make.
Well, what do we think about the fact that Michelle will be the first African American first lady?
That's phenomenal. And it's so funny because I never really look at this election as a black man versus woman. It's not about, it's not about that to me. It's about, how I feel about the candidate. And if Obama were a white man, but he still said the things that he said, maybe that wouldn't affect how I felt about him. It just happens to be that he is an African American man who is extremely intelligent, probably more intelligent than anybody who has run or is in the campaign with him. It's not so much a black, white, male, female thing, but I see what you're saying. I mean, there have been women in politics for years and years and years, but I think the fact that Hillary has a chance of being the first female president to sit in the Oval Office would be a phenomenal thing for women to see as well.
Well, in all fairness, how would you feel, I'm sorry, Gina, how would you feel if Hillary Clinton were a black woman running versus Barack?
Hallelujah.
Would that change things?
Yes, but before that, I would just say, on Michelle Obama, and not even to sound ignorant, but I'm just so excited that she is a real sister. Like, she is not dipped in white chocolate. She is a sister. I mean, she's phenomenal. The woman, I remember the first time I ever heard her speak was maybe like a year ago on a local radio station. She had called in, and just the way she talked, and she was just saying, and I just like the fact that they're such real people, because she was saying, she may be I think there was one day she was in Miami, and her daughter had a recital that night, and she flew to Chicago and made the recital, and it's just like, she's like, I'm not sending anyone to do, to be there in my place for my child. And she was just this real woman, and that was just amazing to me, because you expect women in that position to just be kind of, really just not a real person. And I just think, and another thing about Barack is the fact that there are thugs who are like, Barack could be president, and they are talking about voting. I mean, people who would have never even imagined voting in a presidential election are excited about it. And I just think that's phenomenal for him to have that kind of impact on us, period.
Well, that's a good point. And I want you to respond to my question on if she was a black woman. But we'll be back. More with Reflections of a Diva.